Good evening. Residents looking to cast their ballots early for the Lloydminster by-election will have their chance to do so tonight. An advanced polling station is now open at City Hall. Residents are voting for a city councillor in the by-election. Now, there are 8 candidates in the running for the vacant position. In order to vote, you have to be a Canadian citizen, at least 18 years old, and have lived in Lloydminster for 3 months. You will also need to bring photo ID or 2 pieces of identification that contains your name and address. The poll is opened until 8 p.m. Now, if you are not able to make it out today, you can cast your vote on the day of the by-election, which is January 8th. Living in Canada, we all know we're in for a long winter, and Canadians experience roughly 4 months or more of the wintry weather each year. And with longer nights and colder days, some people may be having a harder time getting up in the morning. They may also be going through seasonal affective disorder, commonly known as the winter blues. Now, in this week's Healthy Living, Anna Stanislaw tells us how we can beat the disorder.
As we experience below freezing temperatures, many stay indoors, avoiding the cold.
There's no sun and it gets kind of depressing after a while.
Yeah, you do. You get kind of depressed when it's cloudy and overcast.
Local psychologist Michelle Hamilton says it's very common for people to have a lack of energy and feel less happy during the winter season.
It's thought that seasonal affective disorder is tied to the changes that may occur in brain chemistry due to lack of sunlight in places like Canada, where we have just too few hours of sunlight in the winter months.
She adds seasonal affective disorder, or SAD, is similar to other forms of depression, and it's important to take note of the symptoms.
Low mood, low energy, increased sleep. And for many people, another sign of seasonal affective disorder seems to be cravings for foods, high carbohydrate foods. For example, a lot of sugary and floury kinds of foods are commonly craved.
But there are ways to beat the winter blues. Hamilton says to get out as much as possible to absorb the sunlight. Having a high dose of vitamin D can also help. Finding an artificial light or lamp can help substitute for the sun's rays, but the most important tip to remember is to increase your activity daily, such as exercising, and to eat healthy. But if it seems to be greatly affecting your everyday activities for a long period of time, it's vital to seek medical help.
There's always a risk of hopelessness, and from that possibly concerns for suicide risk if people feel bad for too long.
You cook a supper, invite people over, pop in on somebody, or buy somebody you don't know a coffee. Makes you feel good and makes everybody smile.
You got to put on your winter gear, go sledding or go do something. I mean, just get out of the house.
Anna Stanislaw, Newcap News.
Healthy Living is brought to you by Table Mountain. It's never too early or late to learn how to ski or snowboard. Bring the whole family. Table Mountain, enjoyed by all.
Well, with the new year, it's also the time for new beginnings, and that's going to be more true for one Border City couple as they celebrate the newest addition to their family.
Hurt.
Little McKinley Balaban was born on January 1st at 1:50 in the morning, making her the first Lloydminster baby of 2014.
Kind of a celebrity right now.
Yeah.
Lots of calls from lots of places.
Well, born later than expected, McKinley came in weighing 7 pounds and 15 ounces. This is the first child for the couple, and they say the New Year surprise was one they will never forget.
Best New Year's so far.
Yeah, by far. And it probably won't get any better.
So right now they're surrounded by family at the Lloydminster Hospital, but they say that they can't wait until they can finally take their daughter home. And in Cold Lake, Mom and Dad also rang in the new year with a baby today. The family from Cold Lake First Nations was expecting the bundle of joy on the 10th, but he came in a little early.
When I first held him, he was just smiling at me.
Weighing in at 8 pounds and 10 ounces, little Brennan came into the world at 10:55 this morning, and parents Leslie and Priscilla say they couldn't be happier.
Actually, I didn't really realize it till today. They were like, "Oh, you have a New Year's baby," and I was like, "Oh, really?" So pretty cool, pretty awesome.
Smiling.
Now, this isn't the first born for the parents. Brennan will be the baby brother of 4 big brothers and a sister. Now, his father says it will be interesting to see how the kids will take the new addition to the family.
What they think about it, and see who gets mad or jealous, or they'll maybe just love him, protect him. And his sister will probably love him. Got 4 boys, 1 daughter, so. be good.
Brennan, who was named after Leslie's brother, already has something in common with both mom and dad.
But he has the same day as both of our birthdays. It's like
Yeah. Well, mine's August 2nd, hers is December 2nd, and his is January 2nd.
closer to
The city welcomed its first baby of 2013 last year as well on January 2nd. Cool legislation which requires country of origin labels be placed on meat products sold in the United States has been a big issue with Canadian producers and politicians. Now, in this week's Ag Report, Bart Petty-Essex sits down with Agriculture Minister Jerry Ritz to discuss the topic.
The big thing that hit the headlines this year is the country of origin labeling in the States here. Now it's that the American government's not budging on the idea that all meat coming from foreign countries should be labeled. Right now, as it stands, how does that affect Canadian meat producers?
Well, it adds to our costs because you get less for your product because the buyers in the U.S. cannot commingle that product as of the amendment that the U.S. put through. So it actually got more intrusive rather than easing the situation when they put their amendment through. We took them to the WTO, won that. They appealed it, we won that. They've come through with an amendment now, which we think is actually even more ridiculous than the original country of origin labeling. Their own industry in the U.S. is saying the same thing. In fact, they, along with our industry and Mexican industry, took the government to court. They lost the first one. They're appealing that. They've got the support of a lot of senators and congressmen now, which they didn't have before. So it's become a political solution to a problem that doesn't exist. And we've had those discussions directly with my counterpart, Tom Vilsack, as well as a number of other congressmen and senators in the U.S. So we're fighting it on three different levels. The one, the court case that industry is bringing forward, that we fully support. We're also back at the WTO and have put together a challenge at that. The panel has been constructed. It's the same panelists that heard the original one. And then we're also fighting, trying to get amendments to the Farm Bill that's working through the process in the U.S. right now. So on three different fronts, we're pushing hard on that. Our industry has identified $1 billion a year that's going missing now, and the differential that they're facing. We're also seeing that it's hurting the American industry more so than their administration ever thought. A couple of plants are in danger of closing. One has closed, 2,000 jobs gone, because they're just not getting the critical mass of Canadian and Mexican cattle they need.
And how confident are you that we'll be able to find a solution that not only makes us happy, but the Americans as well?
Well, I'm not sure the Americans will be happy from an administrative standpoint, but that's the whole nature of rules-based trade. That's why we're at the WTO. We just see this type of thing that forces segregation and a downward shifting in price buying from Canada and Mexico as completely contrary to rules-based trade. And we all agree that the WTO is the place to fight this out. So that's where we are.